Welcome to today's session. I'm going to be covering a little bit more on automations today. I'm actually going to give a little bit of a story time just to paint a picture of how automations impact business operations. And then we can dive a little bit more into questions and maybe some practical examples in your own accounts if we have time. Along the way, throw as many questions as you want into the chat box. I like them in the chat box so that I can come back to them or kind of reference them as needed. But the main thing I want to just nail down as we start, this is an action-focused session. So the goal is you're going to have hopefully a notepad or maybe on your phone, take some notes, because the goal is that you're going to walk away with something that you can implement in your business today. I would love to know what is the main product that you're selling and how long have you been with Agent CRM? Feel free to throw that into the chat box. That's going to help me to kind of guide us a little bit more closely to what you guys are looking for here. Let me share screen though. I have a few notes as we get started. Let's see if I can get to the right place here. First thing I do want to let you guys know about, we are doing a end of year survey. We want to get even better in both the technology and the support and the education. Those are kind of our three pillars: support, technology, education. Agent CRM is phenomenal, but if you can't use it, if you can't figure it out, either because our training is not good enough or our support is underdeveloped, I am so grateful in advance for you guys, Luke, Anthony, and Patricia, but also anyone who's watching the replay. If you guys take the time, it actually gives me, check this out. I've got a Google Sheet. I already know that I've got like just under 80% satisfaction from the first few people. A lot of them are really high, but I want to know, like, the more people that fill in, the better a pulse we're going to get on our experience. You can see here, ease of use, 70%. Yes, it is a complicated system. And some people are super confident. This dude here, 9, he's like, it's so easy. So that's going to be a big difference depending on who you are, but we need to know. We want to know what's working, what's missing, what can we add? And a big part of these live coaching sessions is ease of use. Like, if we can create better and more actionable content, we believe that's going to increase that score. At the end of the day, it may always be difficult. There's always going to be a learning curve. So I'm not too bummed if this is not an A+. It's really like learning a new language. And we're going to dive a little bit into automations. I'm going to share my learning curve as well, because part of it is, does it being difficult scare you off? Is there a level of grit, maybe a level of commitment that we need to actually make this work and see results? Of course, there is, but it's going to be so worthwhile. Just like learning a new language, if you learn a new language, it opens up new opportunities. You can go new places, you could do things that you couldn't do before. And our goal is in your business that you would be able to put these new tools to use, learn the language of a CRM so that you can thrive. But definitely appreciate the feedback. That's going to be agent-crm.com/survey. That will probably be in the link on the replay. I'm going to post it live, but also let's just plug that into the chat box here. If you guys are able, feel free to open a link, keep it on the side for later, and then take some time. That's going to help us build the resources that you guys need to grow your business. All right, so let's just do a little bit of story time first, because I'm going to show you the very first automation that I personally built. And I'm going to kind of talk through the process. Why did I build it? How did I build it on a practical level as well? But let's just go here. Hopefully y'all can see. I'm looking at a PowerPoint slides. Can you see this? Give me a thumbs up. Give me a yes in the chat. I think I'm sharing. I've been living on Zoom ever since COVID, and I still feel like a Luddite in some ways. What am I doing here? All right, so this was my very first job with Agent CRM. Alex Branding hired me in the middle of a school program that I was in. I did this scripted webinar 9 times a week on repeat. I only worked 9 hours a week online. And it was the same thing over and over again. Ran through this. Hey, like, let me teach you about leads, sales, referrals, delegation team. Here's a little bit about me, blah, blah, blah. So it was like an educational session where I would teach you a scripted piece of content. And then I would gently kind of put in front of your eyes, here are 4 different options for how to generate leads. And the goal was to nurture and then hopefully move to a sale at the end of the call. So let's just kind of blitz through here. Video domino, giveaway funnel. Some of you who have been around for a while know the different strategies. Some of you want to learn, like, hey, teach me this. This is good content here. I'm just going to blitz past this. For now, we're not doing a leads-focused session. But, so I talk about leads, and then I talk to you about Agent CRM. Here's the solution to your problem. You can do all these cool things. You can do AI scheduling. Here's some more marketing tips. So it was like a lot of value given. And then, of course, at the end, hey, here's the pitch. And we used to focus on courses. It was like, yo, get this course. This is maybe 3+ years ago. And then we'd have a crazy deal. Hey, like, one time on this call. That was my very first role. But after a while, this is like generating leads, but we need to do follow-up. Like, Luke Anthony, you joined this call, but that doesn't mean you're going to take action. Imagine this was a pitch. You wouldn't take action on this call necessarily. Hopefully you would, but you have now been warmed up as a lead. And imagine for you guys, you do a consultation. Hey, let me review your policy. Let me assess where you're at and make some options, make some recommendations. You've warmed them up, but have you closed them on that call? And I only did 9 hours a week of work. That was all I could give to Alex. But follow-up was falling through the cracks. And the next role that he brought me into, he said, Will, you're doing this on repeat. That's maybe not the best use of your time because there are tools out there that we can use. So I'm going to take you a little bit behind the scenes here because I just want to paint a picture for why did I need to solve a problem. So we actually recorded that scripted webinar. We put it on Webinar Fuel as a platform, and it felt like a live replay. This is actually still happening. Some people still stumble across the recording, but 9 hours of my time were now freed up to make callbacks. People would watch the webinar. I wouldn't have to do it live. I would go back and I'd call them. And I'd say, hey, you watched the webinar. I want to know if you had any questions, like how can we assist you? And the follow-up was where I could start to close more deals. I'm not necessarily pitching Webinar Fuel. I'm just kind of advocating in this moment that there are things that you are doing that are not the best use of your time. You could be automating, and maybe it's the video that you run. Maybe you do a webinar. Maybe you do some sort of live call that's group session. Whatever it is, there are things that maybe you start to say, hey, how can I better use my time? That brings us to the first point. I was still in school when I offloaded this, and I needed to do follow-up now. I need to actually work those leads that I had coming into the webinar. And I was actually a little intimidated by Agent CRM for quite a while. It was like, look at all the tabs, look at all the extra things in there. I mean, we used to have so many more, and I've kind of shuffled things around to make it easier. But at first I was like, I'm just doing the webinar. I'll stay over in the webinar. That's my lane. I'm good over here. I don't need to learn the tech, the nerd stuff. It's just way over my head. So probably like a year, I didn't really do too much in the system because that wasn't really my job, didn't need to. But I started to see, hey, I can't, with my super part-time hours, still around 10 hours, I can't call people fast enough. I can't get to them while they're hot leads. Like they're taking action on the call, and then I'm the one who's dropping the ball here. I'm the one who's too slow. I can't keep up. Now, I'm going to show you my very first automation here. You can see created on June 22nd, 2022. One thing I will note, just as a little asterisk here, You do not need to create workflows if you are watching this and you're like, well, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds. There is inside of Agent CRM's branding bundles. That's click and play assets here. We've got a ton of pre-made content. We're adding more all the time. P&C insurance is coming out soon, and group benefits should be out within a week or two as well. But if you look in the branding bundles, you're going to see all sorts of assets that kind of do what I'm talking about, pre-made. I also just want to paint a picture to unlock. When I show you my own, I'm going to kind of unlock like, oh, maybe I could create something that would solve that problem for me too. But starting with the branding bundles, lead generation, new lead campaigns to convert to calendars, lead nurture for follow-up. A lot of this stuff behind the scenes is kind of doing a lot of the problems that you might have. Calendar appointments, hey, reminding people to even just show up to the appointments. We've got pre-made stuff with that. I'm going to show one here. New lead campaign. So the basic thing, and then I'll jump back, is that a workflow is like the brains of your system. There is a trigger, what sets off a chain of events, and then there are actions. What are the things that are going to happen? So for example, when someone comes in as a new lead, you want to add some notes, you want to do some system admin, like leave a note here. You want to add them to a pipeline, and then you want to send them a message like, hey, let's see here. Preview. Thanks for reaching out for information about life insurance. I'm Will. Thrilled to have the opportunity, blah, blah, blah. Get on a call with me. Here's my calendar link. I don't even have to think about the lead. I don't have to worry about the lead slipping through the cracks because the system is taking care of those communications for me. Whether it's lead nurturing or client nurturing, that already exists. Let's go back to my workflow here. Super proud of it. Will follow-up. This is my own folder here. I don't think I use any of these anymore. Surprised that I still have a few active people. Let's go here. So the very first thing that I did was I'm like, I need to email people. I actually need to communicate with them because I don't know if I can get to them fast enough, even by phone. Like my school hours are getting in my way. Some of you are part-timers, weekend warriors, another term that I hear floating around. Some of you are so busy with some of the other stuff you're doing that you need to free up time here, and this is how we might do it. So I started with a tag. Tags help you to trigger things. They also just help you to organize your contacts. But this is a tag I started with, Will follow-up. And all I had to do was add this tag and it was going to blast an email. I can't remember what this says anymore. Oh yeah, this has evolved quite a bit since the very first version. But it was like, hey, I'm just reaching out to see if you had any questions. That was the very first goal. It was like a very soft launch. Hey, like, I've made this pretty, I've kind of expanded it a little bit, and now it has Bob's name on it. But it was like, yo, like just reaching out. You joined a call, you had questions, and that was, and a text, and that was it. The goal was to get them onto a calendar appointment. I didn't want to chase people down. I wanted to give them just a little bloop, join me on a call if you were interested. And warm and hot leads, all of a sudden, 9 hours, 10 hours that I was working for Alex, probably 75 to 80% of those hours that I worked were self-booked appointments. I wasn't chasing people down anymore. I was barely making outbound calls. You should still do that. But the automation started to pre-fill my calendar for me so that when I showed up for 10 hours of work, it was 10 hours of focused conversations. I was no longer doing the live webinar. I was just sending them an automated message and then showing up to the appointments that self-booked. So that's a big goal in a lot of these campaigns, is reducing things that are not income producing activities. Maybe it's nurturing, maybe it's even things like, there's a holiday campaign, like client retention is a huge thing. There's a lot you can do. There's a whole session on YouTube with client retention automations and activities where you'd spend a few hours just building the retention engine of your CRM, and then you set it and forget it. And maybe you come back and you add or tweak a little thing as you go. I'm going to go down a little bit and show you kind of my thought process. Actually built it in another webinar, or sorry, another automation here. This is like me taking a trip down memory lane here. Actually, I added another chain onto this. So at first it was the will follow-up, and I started to learn a few extra things like, oh, I could do that as well. Okay, well, let's do a voicemail drop. So I recorded a message and it says something like, hey, this is Will, just trying to reach out because you had some interest in our system. I'm sorry I couldn't get a hold of you at the moment, but I'm going to send you an email with my calendar link. Please check it out if you're interested in connecting. Again, this is Will Winter from Agent CRM. Hope you're having a great day. Bye for now. And then waits a minute. And then this automation adds the tag, which triggers the other automation. It's not too complicated what I've described so far, but I felt so proud of myself because again, I'm adding to my automations, I'm solving a problem, and I'm increasing my bookings. One tip, if you guys are doing voicemail drops, with the changes to FCC regulations, and A2P regulations. A2P is phone carrier stuff. FCC is like communications marketing. Voicemail drops should probably only go to clients or people who have opted in. People who have raised their hand and said, yo, Will, you can connect with me. If you send a voicemail drop to someone who you do not have consent for, you can get major fines. Depends on the state. It can be thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. So I don't mean to scare you off. I just mean to tell you guidelines for marketing. People who have opted in or clients would be one use case. And if you're going to do a voicemail recording, let's actually see here, onlinevoicerecorder.com. What you can do is, I'll type that in the chat. This will likely all be in the description of the thing as well. If you're going to do it, you just say, let's see, allow. Hey, this is Will Winter, just reaching out, blah, 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 blah. Stop. You can trim it. You can download it here in the file format that you are looking for. So let's see here. Trim it, save. And then when you go back to your workflow, you can add an action, voicemail, upload file. That's just an example here, save action. So I'm kind of breezing through some of the actions. I'm going to kind of slow down, go back for a second here, because you can do so much. Like look at all on the right-hand side, look at all those actions. Now, it can feel overwhelming when you see so many options. I would propose starting with what is the problem I'm trying to solve and looking for an action based on that. So if it's something like, man, my Facebook, or most of the basic ones like send an email, send a text, or wait. Maybe I want to add notes. I'm like, man, for us internally, we're in like a data cleanup phase. So I'm getting religious about adding notes and adding the right tags because we've been like, our pain point is data, clean data. But start with what is the problem in your business. That's going to help you to, hey, is there like SMS? Oh yeah, SMS, that's exactly what I need. And then you save action. But live Q&A is a great place to kind of have a little troubleshooting or quick questions if you want to work one-on-one with our team to build your dream system. But again, branding bundles have probably 80, 90% of what you need already. I'll delete that action. Last tip about voice recordings here. So I've mentioned do not send it to people who have not opted in, and also great target for this would be clients. I would record it in such a way where it feels like I actually called you. And you might want to practice this a few times. Like sometimes our recordings, the biggest mistake is that you would send it in a way where it feels so artificial and plasticky. Like, I don't want to be deceptive, but I want you to feel like I really did call you. Like little pauses like, hey, it's Will. I'm just trying to get a hold of you. Like, I'm just trying to get a hold of you. Or I'm sorry I missed you. I'm just reaching out because. Now, obviously, I can't say their name because it's a stock or like a downloaded file. It's going to be the same recording for everyone. But kind of those stutters or those little pauses, do a couple, maybe even just kind of walk around and record on your phone if you have the right MP3 format. But you're going to do it in a couple times and listen to it back. Is that kind of how I would sound if I actually left a voicemail? A little bit imperfect, a little bit natural sounding. And then again, a great tip for voicemail recordings is pair it with an email and text. Let's go back to that together. We'll follow up. This is where it lived. So as you saw earlier, and I'll just look at the text here. I said, I'm going to send you a text with my personal calendar link. Take a look for that. It's also going to be in your email, just in case you miss it. So there's my calendar link. And people, again, would start to fill my week without me having to do anything other than add the tag. Now, eventually, I added another step and another step. Eventually, I figured out Webinar Fuel could add a tag inside of Agent CRM. So I didn't even have to do the tagging anymore. Like, I didn't go in and add the tag to trigger the automation. Webinar Fuel added the tag sent the voicemail drop sent the text and email. So I'm just adding on as I start to understand what can the system do. And right away, you might only come up with some very, like this portion here, this was all it was. This was the very first automation, tag, email, SMS. But then I started to think, how can I nurture and how can I convert even more clients? And I started to add more branches. Now, I've massively edited this. I don't know if I even have the history I can go back to anymore. But I started to create branches. Like, has that person booked with me? Yes or no? Well, if they haven't booked with me, I'm going to message them again. If they have booked with me, I'm going to wait 60 days and then message them again. So I'm creating different conditions because I want, if Anthony bought something from me, I don't want to harass him anymore. But in 60 days, he might need something else. So in 60 days, I created a new voicemail, and then I sent, after 2 minutes, an email, and then after 1 minute, a text. I created those wait steps because I'm thinking, I want this to feel organic still. I want this to feel like I actually reached out to you. And people would actually be like, oh, Will, thank you so much. I'd go into the conversation history and people would say, Will, thank you so much for reaching out to me. I really appreciate the thought. Well, I just designed an automation, but they felt cared for and they felt nurtured by what I had set. It had my tone of voice, both the emails, the voicemail, and the text had my tone of voice. It was caring for them. It was reaching out to them. And again, I got to just show up for my 9 to 15 hours, started taking on more hours. I got to show up and just take calls. Now, there were more times, again, do not neglect your outbound call campaign, but starting to do things like this, you can offload things that maybe are chewing up your time. Just as I first offloaded, I offloaded this. This was not the best use of my time. And then I offloaded tagging people. And then I offloaded this. And then all of a sudden, I'm really dialed in. My engine, Agent CRM, is running behind the scenes to nurture and move people to action. So you can see here, let's branch out. I'm going to actually look. Let's see how far back I can go here. Now, I used to have it like all these extra branches, and I would add things and add things. And you're like, oh, I have an idea. I can add that. Ooh, another idea. I can add that too. So again, it all starts with just dipping your toes in the water. If you're thinking about building an automation for yourself, start small, start with a problem that you are trying to solve in your business, and then go from there. There's some phenomenal things that you can do with the system, but the quote that I'm thinking of in this moment, it says, how do you eat an elephant? I'd love to know if any of you, you can type in the chat if you know the answer to this. How do you eat an elephant? I think Luke Anthony knows the answer. It's not with barbecue sauce. The answer is one bite at a time. He knows. One bite at a time. That's how you eat an elephant if you were, for some reason, don't want to eat one. But the analogy sticks. There's so much the system can do. It's really starting with, hey, what do I need to solve in my business, and what can I build? Now, it does get fun. I will tell you, once you get past that, like, oh, it's overwhelming. It starts to get exciting. It starts to get rewarding, especially as you see the results. When you show up on Monday, you look at your calendar, your full week is filled, and you feel this pride, like, I built something that did that. Or you use our tools that do that for you. I will also give another little warning that there's so much that you can do in the system that maybe is not an income producing activity for you. If you're taking 10 hours to do something, maybe your time is worth to you $30 an hour, $40 an hour, and it takes you 10 hours, you could have gotten that done in 1 or 2 if you said, you know what, I'm just going to use a pre-made asset, or I'm going to hire someone to just fast track that. So I want to geek out sometimes. I will on another session share my passion for the nerdiest areas of Agent CRM. I'm geeking out on CSS coding using ChatGPT. Some of you, that's like over your head. But the point is, be very mindful when you are building automations or working the system. Ask yourself, what is the best use of my time? And maybe for a moment, it is actually this week, next week, setting aside time. It may not feel immediately rewarding, but you're going to build a retention, build a holiday campaign. Last few videos, I've really been pushing that. Build a holiday campaign. It might take you an hour or less, and you can blast that out this holiday season, and all of a sudden you've increased retention for your clients. You might generate some extra bookings, but setting aside time to learn and implement some of these action steps is going to be rewarding. But think, hey, what is the best use of my time immediately, but also with that long-term perspective of where your business is growing. There's a learning curve. Again, you saw from the end of your survey, our users are saying, hey, there's kind of a difficulty in learning the system. Yep, sure is. I went through that too. So I do see a comment here, and maybe I'll open it up now because I'm running out of steam. And my story has kind of concluded, well, part 1 at least. Someone says, hey, I am interested in working one-on-one for my automation building. I'm going to share here for the sake of replay, but Dora, we will reach out to you specifically as well. There's a couple options here for working one-on-one. I'm going to share my favorites. Hours on their own, you can just buy hours. It's like, hey, I want to work with it's like a coach or like a fitness trainer. I'm working with a fitness trainer. I've got my session today. He's helping me get big and strong so my wife can have a fine looking husband. But some of you working with a CRM trainer, we say the value is $99 per hour. I would recommend getting either a big package because you reduce the hours greatly. This is one option. I usually steer people in another direction. I'll share that in a second. But you say, hey, I've got some vision. Let's add 5 hours to my account, and then you get a booking link to work with Shiraz, Ali, Aga, some of our awesome team members. So that's one option. The other is promo packages. This is where you prepay for several months at a time. So if you were going to be here for 3 months and you just had the basic package, you'd pay $291. This one doesn't have any hours. Let's talk about this one. If you were with us for 3 months, you would kind of pay the same amount anyways. But if you prepay, we have the marketing to generate leads. We kind of just throw in the one-on-one hours, especially package 2 and 3. You're committing up front. You're not going to pay monthly again until the end of your promo term. So that would be the more discounted way to get hours. That's promo.agent-crm.com. Black Friday, it's now end of year. And I think there's also a deal. If you get one of the packages here, the second screen, there's a one-time offer where you can get, I think it's a better deal than this. But the best option, if you guys are like, I actually don't know my next step, you're throwing too many things in front of me, Will. Scheduling a consultation. Bob, Cheyenne, they're great people. Let's just throw that. So let's do this here. Boom. That's in the chat there. But Dora, I'll have Bob reach out to you personally. Point is, we just want to assess what do you need, how big is the project, and then we'll recommend how many hours. But it's not just help building the system, it's help actually knowing, okay, you've built it, but how do I use it now? That's a benefit. So I apologize for those of you who are like, well, I thought this wasn't a sales pitch meeting. I just wanted to explain that so you knew how to get one-on-one help. Maybe the sales guy in me, I'm now operations manager. Maybe the sales guy in me is still alive and kicking. All right. All right. So I'd love to hear, we've still got some time today. I'd love to hear some questions, kind of free floating. I'm going spontaneous now. What do you guys have questions around? What can I expand on?
Yeah, how you doing, Will?
Hey.
Yeah, so basically, I think you explained everything that I was looking into because I'm just trying to see how we can have somebody set up our automation. So you just went over it, so I would just have to probably book one of those things. Where do you find the link for the Black Friday sale? Is that?
Yeah, I'll throw that in the chat as well.
Okay.
So the Black Friday sale, you can see these packages here, they don't have hours.
Okay.
You prepay for your months. You get our Black Fridays and end of years are all about upgrading people to get the lead generation. Marketing Plus is the next tier up of Agent CRM. But the second page is where you get the one-on-one hours. So if you're like, Will, I don't want Marketing Plus, I don't need a discount on marketing services and the subscription, you could bypass that and just get the hours through booking a consultation.
Okay.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, what is the automation that you guys are looking to build out for your business?
Because we have one already built out. We use WooSender.
Okay.
And then we have a separate CRM that kind of triggers messages based on the status of each client. But we're paying for two different systems. So we would like to consolidate into one, which would obviously be Agent CRM if we could set it up similarly. So to save time and do that effectively, we'll just probably pay somebody to see if they could help us out or set it up for us. Just take over what we have and move it over. Yeah.
Okay, so that's straightforward because what we would do is just go in and see what would it look like to build the same things in our system. So you're just sending like that's communications, that's like campaigns.
Yeah. So for us, since I mean, we obviously all the messages we send out is for clients that are in-house. So
Mhm.
based on different statuses, it triggers messages, right? So we want that to
Yeah.
stay. But the other thing that we have not set up is like an automated system for outreach, right? For the so to warm leads and get them to stay on the call. So we haven't. That's why I'm moving over to the agent CRM because I want that part, which is
Yeah.
extremely beneficial. But then the middle part, we just want to make sure we could duplicate what we already been doing.
Yeah. What's the main product that you sell?
ACA.
Okay. So what I would propose will definitely, you guys have language and you have a flow that you're already happy with and seeing results with, but we do have uh, an ACA bundle. This is the other thing I try to harp on is it looks like you're just copying, you're not building from scratch, but some people try to reinvent the wheel with what they're building in their system or
Yes.
business in general. I'm talking even like social media posts where some people are wasting their time on Canva trying to think of content to create when you can go to Google and you can say insurance Canva templates and boom, like you pay 30 bucks, maybe 50, maybe less, and you can have 220 posts social media. So
Hmm.
do check out, and likely what's going to happen is when you work with our team, they're going to say, hey, awesome, yes, we can build that. Let's show you just what we have first so that you can understand like lead nurture. We've got a full 1 year sequence for ACA nurturing.
And
And
is
this
that
is
for
informational.
that's for
Go ahead.
internal leads, right? For the let's say you that's for a client you sold already, or for like a lead that has not taken action on, or let's say they booked a call but they missed the call. Is
It
that
could be either. It could be either.
either
It's
or?
not
Okay.
too pushy. Some of them have email. Some of them have calendar links. Some of them actually don't.
Okay.
But it's more like, hey, here's some facts. Do you want to know about like our core values, who we are as a business? Um, Everything's fully editable, adjustable, of course. Now, some of the language you might be like, no, well, that still seems it's too pushy for a sale, or it might be too, like you can see here. Do I actually need health insurance? Well, that's kind of more geared towards someone who doesn't have it,
Yeah.
maybe.
Right.
But what you could do is simply take this lead nurture template and
Hmm.
then just change the email language, because we've got these formatted emails that have kind of a consistent look to them. We've got the wait steps, we've got the note section. So you might just take your emails content and plop it into here instead of like creating the automation from scratch. And this integrates already with a few things, but whoever you work with will probably give you a better answer of the best thing to do.
Okay.
My point is that there are some things that could be the bones for what you're trying to do, but you'll notice here, like email one, wait 30 days, email two. So one email every day for 30 days, or every day, one email every 30 days for 1 year. And then this automation, we actually just loop it back to the top in the latest version so that after a year, they're going to get the first email all over again. And they're
Yeah.
probably going to forget. They might not have even opened the first email,
Email.
but this ensures we've created 12 unique cycling emails to keep leads. And for this, we kind of use it for clients too. We keep them in the loop
Okay.
and keep us on their radar. Client retention, we kind of cover. There's a video client retention on YouTube. We cover this.
And then do you guys find the 30-day is ideal, or like because some people, like they say send an email a day, some people go send an email a week. It's I guess
Yeah.
it's just depending on how you want to
Yeah,
do
it
it.
really depends on, I mean, for this, let's kind of cover some of the other automations here. When we start with a lead, someone who said, I need insurance, I'm interested, I'm warm or hot, we put them into a campaign that does have a lot more of a, Alex called it a high velocity, I think was his thing, like speed to lead, like let's get them onto a calendar while they're fresh. So we do email and text now. Wait 2 days, email and text, wait 2 days, text, wait 2 days, email and text, wait 2 days, text, wait 6 days, email and text. If they have not taken action in this first phase, they're going to automatically be moved. And we're going to be like, you know what? If they're not taking action, we've reached out to them. They're just going to be on the back burner and they're going to get the once a month drip. Because they're showing by their lack of action that they're probably like lukewarm or cold leads actually. And the automations will help to convert people. Again, the other piece is outbound calling, because that might actually help you to increase your conversion rate. So there's some things we'll never do away with in terms of manual tasks, but the automations are designed to convert people and then nurture them if they haven't taken action.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
You might have a different plan. You might be like, Will, I am like so wanting to convert these leads. I'm going to send them one every day. You just change the wait step.
Makes
1
sense.
days, and then change the action name. But the other thing to note is that if you, this is more on the compliance piece. So there's the automations. Technically, you can build almost anything in the system, but there are also regulations like, voicemail drops that you have to be aware of. A2P phone carrier regulations. If you text too often and too many people say, stop, 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 and there's a couple keywords they can respond by.
Yeah.
That's going to increase what's called an opt-out rate, and it might be 2%. So it might be per day. I think if 2% of the people who respond to your campaign say stop, then you actually get a temporary suspension. So blasting people, especially warm lists, like if you've bought lists or if you've got older lists, some people get so eager to automate something that they create this brilliant campaign and then ruin their sender reputation and get shut down by phone carriers. So little asterisks there.
Sounds good.
I know some of you, you're like, no, I know my next step is to get on a call with Bob or to buy the package, but are there any other questions I can cover? I've still got time and I want to make sure to give as much value while we're here. We can go off topic if you want. We're diving deep into the automation land, but let's see. Patricia has just wrapped up, so she got the value she came for, hopefully. Let's see here. Definitely open to ending this early, but we are recording, so I'm like, can I squeeze any more value into this video? Let's go back for a second to the YouTube here, because I do like to keep reminding people about this. What we try to do as much as possible is create themed or focused sessions. So there are some where we do a little bit more free floating, like, hey, who's on this call? Like, let's go all over the place. But for the most part, there's key problems that you have to solve in your business. And even for me as operations manager, you bet I'm aware of a bazillion problems that we have, but I can't solve them all at once. For us right now, as I shared earlier, we're solving activation or getting users to understand and make use of the system. That's the point of these videos. That's the focus in this season of Agent CRM's growth is activation and churn reduction. So how can I keep users on longer? There are other problems that you'll have to solve, and we have more and more content around that. While I'm talking, maybe some ideas are coming to mind for you, Luke Anthony, or Dora as well. I'd love to hear in the chat or for whoever's watching the replay, you can send us an email, you can share feedback. What can we create more content around? What is a problem we can solve? But on YouTube, there's things like, hey, importing leads. That's a very basic first step for a lot of people. Ads, I want to learn more about ads, client retention, holiday campaigns, marketing and websites. You want to get your website built out, lead gen. How do I do a typical day in my CRM? That might be your challenge. I'd love to know, can we use Messenger to contact leads? Yes. I'll actually show that briefly because there's a lot that the system can do. And honestly, some of the videos that I do live with you guys, someone asked me a question. I'm like, yeah, I don't think the system can do that. And then I'm like, oh, wait, there it is. There's the filter I'm looking for. So I stumble across new features. The developers are always pushing out new things. But inside of automations, you can use Facebook Messenger. There are Facebook Messenger actions. So you could actually do things like if someone commented on Facebook, ACA, you could automatically send them a Facebook Messenger message that reaches out to them that says, hey, thanks for your interest. Here's my calendar link on Facebook Messenger. But as well, inside of, let's see here, just want to change it. Let's go into a contact. If you have a contact channel connected, it will show you your eligible messaging options. So you can see here SMS, WhatsApp, email, and Kixi. You guys probably don't have Kixi because you haven't installed that third-party upgrade. But whatever networks you're plugged in and connected with, you can actually communicate back and forth on, and it will share with you here. Usually this icon will be different based on what communication platform. Conversations will show that as well. So yeah, you can see here, let's see, filter by Facebook, apply, and you're gonna see, yeah, you can see left here. So whether we're automating or whether we're sending Facebook direct messages, you'll notice that these contacts have engaged with us. And on this account, we're not actively connected, but you can see here just by illustration that I can actually manually also engage with people on this channel. The lead gen, if you're using the branding bundles, the 1.0 workflows, 1.0 lead gen, ACA lead gen, final expense lead gen, etc. Generate lead from comment on Facebook post. This is the one I mentioned earlier, where you can set a trigger word. This is a really big trend right now in automation. You're going to see this a lot with influencers. Chat info or type info. There's a guy I follow, Dan Martell, who's a brilliant business guru, especially for software. Serial entrepreneur, but he's really nailed this in, and it feels so authentic. I'm questioning, dude, are you really responding to me? I'm not fully sure. Instead of sending one message, I'm pretty sure this is what he does. We send one DM, but I'm pretty sure what he does is he actually has 5 messages, almost as if he manually sent 5 separate messages. So there's little things that you can do with Messenger, with other platforms where it's oh, I can do that? That's so brilliant. And some of you have experienced that already with marketers, with business people, with coaches, where you've opted in and you're oh, as you're watching this, you're thinking, oh, that's how they do it. So super cool stuff. Hopefully that answers your question and probably more than what you asked, Dora. Luke Anthony says, gotta go. And we are now close enough that we can land this plane. But I do hear Dora. So Dora, what can I answer? Or was that a goodbye?
I just want to automate everything with the branding. Because I have a lot of automation, but it's without the branding. And I like the fact how you guys do right now with the branding, that you have email with my logo, with my signature. So I'd like to kind of like change it and update it, but I don't want to do it by myself.
Definitely. We would love to help you. Have you had the chance to book an appointment yet, or can our team?
Not yet, because first I maybe would like to have a consultation to see which package should I buy and how many hours I have to spend on what I want to do. But it's like, more ideas you guys giving, the messenger is huge for me.
Definitely. All right, Dora, we'd love to help you out. I will put Bob on your trail, and thank you for joining live.
Thank you.
Have a great day.